Alexa, change channel, show me current affairs in India. Dr. Brown saw a ticker moving at the bottom. The words moved past. It was a second world country or the third world, depending on which side you looked from. Dr. Brown got interested because Artie came from that country. She was living there with her husband and daughter. He remembered her as quite an intelligent girl. He reached towards a black speaker and commanded,
Alexa, change channel, show me current affairs in India.
showing news from India. Do you want me to instruct television to change channels too?
Yes, Alexa, show me riots breaking in India.
The voice from Black Gadget filled the room, changing programming for current affairs from India, including riots tone. Alexa blurted again, no news of riots, only political rally, breaking news, from eastern states. Do you want to continue? Dr. Brown squinted his eyes and thought for a moment, if it is not a riot, then what might be happening there? Two news anchors, one lady and one man, appeared on the projection on the wall. Dr. Brown recognized it was not from the capital of India, but some states east of New Delhi, the capital of India. The toll from the apocalypse skewed the statistics from other regions, including East, West, and Middle East. Dr. Brown remembered Kashia's tweet, put the world on the brink of major world war. He diverted the crisis the very next day. He jumped the world's attention from the president's ire to bushfires. He meanwhile calmed Middle Eastern nerves by pacifying them against any tirade against militarized West. Kashia's words were political sarcasm in favor of the current president against a candidate running against him. But the president's action and sudden reaction on stands didn't get off the ground, much to the chagrin of the world around him. Then this apocalypse happened, and it destroyed the basic supply chain between the East and the West. It cost Dr. Brown one of her employees in the center, Mrs. Flores. Dr. Brown had consulted the management to send the consignment from Mrs. Flores' petri dish to the East. As she got sick with pneumonia, Mrs. Flores had asked for leave from Kashi. I am not feeling well. I have to take a leave of absence. Can I request one thing regarding my research? She asked Kashi in front of Dr. Brown. Kashi said yes, go ahead, what is it? Instead of sending samples through FedEx through high radiological categorization, can I take it along with my flight to my parents? She asked.
Why? Are you saving the cost of our Center for Communicable Virus and Diagnosis? Kashi pointed out to Dr. Fleurs, at which point, Dr. Brown interrupted him. Let her take the package with her on board. She had the culture and she only knows how to handle it the best. I can ask management for her flight clearance. Kashi looked at him with a sense of astonishment. Dr. Brown could see in Kashia's eyes he couldn't get it. Kashi asked, what do you need from me, my approval? Dr. Brown interjected, yes. At this point Kashi looked at Dr. Flores and nodded, affirming partly he liked her as well as pitying at her flu symptoms. He didn't want her to take a leave from the research facility though. He had not still apprehended how he will comprehend the projects and timesheet in her absence. Dr. Brown's presence was the only reason he would let go of his worry from work pressure. Dr. Brown knew what was going on in Kashia's mind when he half-heartedly let approve Fleurs' 1-week paid leave. Dr. Brown saw Kashi completely bewildered in the room with them. Now it had been more than 6 months and Mrs. Flores didn't return. The apocalypse had statistically and miraculously spared India so far. The number of zombie cases and casualty was baffling scientists, health administrators and doctors. The hotbed of a third world apocalypse had double-digit growth for a couple of months. All of the cases were imported ones largely. Dr. Brown smirked, why none of them imported ones succumbed to virus slaughter? Dr. Brown had asked complete emergency through administration of India to help hotbed for infections or supposedly casualties to emerge. Everyone in the Center of Communicable Virus and Diagnosis was hoping for the same statistics as reported in the East. The East had managed the apocalypse so well and promulgated emergency shutdowns in spite of the supply chain and economic collapse they bore. Nations implemented and followed their instruments for the first time with submission never seen historically dated since 1920. This was a welcome change for all nations and militaries around the world. Dr. Brown scoured media for apocalypse outbursts daily. He was of the view India should be reporting numbers exponentially in 3 and 4 and then 5-6 digits. Dr. Brown surmised her research fellow Artie currently living in India should be seeing apocalypse figures. Dr. Brown listened intently to the news, due to economic emergency imposed on common people who were following instructions prescribed from CCVD's sister channels were going for regime change. A political leader's son, young and charismatic, was emerging as a new face against the current majority regime. Current regime was headed in India by a statesman who was in his late 70s. He was revered as one of leaders in world politics managing billions of economically well and not so well citizens. The economic challenge was beginning to fissure 70-year-old leaders' electorate. The poll numbers were significantly up. The measures to restrict apocalypse were well regarded. Dr. Brown could not believe a government from far would get such leverage in these hard times. The younger son, of an old-time political leader, now has majority. The supply chain breakup and the vast swathe of people will leave the current premier in late 70s to this young emerging alternative. Kashi was contemplating on replying to rich business owner Mr. Shai Lee. He wrote on his mobile she succumbed to pneumonia which she contracted in by province. It's a severe loss to us and our research facility to hear that one of our most cherished and linchpin left us abruptly. She cheered our days with her commendable research work and reported early morning when everyone would listen to her. Kashi typed these words and deleted the mail so it went to his personal email draft. Kashi asked the communication department to draft an eulogy and severance package officially. He emphasized in his mail that Dr. Flores's husband is not from the East. Kashi murmured, "Personnel department are well aware of fact, I should have mentioned that. Gosh, I have to report funding sources and plan it," he shouted, which broke the monotonicity in the silent room. "Well ahead if committee rejects my offer," as Dr. Brown said.